Good morning students. Welcome to Sectors of Indian Economy. In the last video, what did we learn? We learned about the three types of unemployment. One is the seasonal unemployment, the second one is the disguised unemployment, and the third one is the educated unemployment. So, you have understood what are these three types and you have clearly understood that unemployment is present in all the three sectors. Yes, it is not only that there is only unemployment in the primary sector, but you have unemployment in the secondary as well as the tertiary sector also. Now, how should this problem be tackled? Now, how should employment be created? Okay, so today we are going to discuss how to create more employment. The government, it has introduced or implemented many schemes in order to bring down this employment percentage in the country, and the general steps which the government has been following are as such. Now, what are the ways in which this employment can be increased? Okay, opportunities with respect to employment can be created. That we'll see first. Now here, the government or the banks can provide loans to dig wells. Now see here, in your textbook the example of Lakshmi is given, where Lakshmi is Lakshmi is cultivating or doing agriculture in a plot of land. So actually, as we have discussed from the early examples, a small plot of land requires the services of two people, that is enough. But if suppose the government is providing any loan to dig a well in that land and the irrigation facility with that particular land has increased, then there are more chances for the cultivation of more crops in that piece of land only. That is what we talked about now, multiple cropping. The cultivation of more number of crops in a given piece of land is multiple cropping. That can be done more. Then more people can be employed by Lakshmi. Okay, when Lakshmi goes for multiple cropping, then more she needs to employ another helper. She needs to take another person in order to help her with respect to multiple cropping. So in this way, the employment can be generated. Now the second one, if the government constructs dams and canals, if the government undertakes the construction of dams and canals, then what is happening? More and more hectares of lands are irrigated. The lands earlier which were barren, which were not used for any agriculture or cultivation purpose, they now come under cultivation because of the availability of water through canals and dams. So here, when more of land are coming under cultivation, what is happening? More of employment is generated in the agriculture sector. Yes. So this is the second thing. Now the third one. The government can invest in transportation and storage. Now see here. Here in the agricultural land, the crops are grown. Yes. Now these crops have to be transported. The surplus crop need to be transported to the markets. So for the purpose of this transportation, they need lorries, they need... actually I have drawn a car, but car is not used for transportation. Sorry, then I don't know how to draw a lorry. Okay, so they need all these heavy vehicles for the purpose of transportation. Yes, so in this way, if the government invests more with respect to transportation, then more employment is created in the form of truck drivers, in the form of tractor drivers. Yes, and storage. If the government invests with respect to the storing centers. In each and every area you have agricultural yards, they are called as, okay, where some agricultural produce or yield is being stored. In certain places you have cold storages where vegetables are stored for some few days before they go to some other states, before they are transported to some other states. In this way, if the government invests in transportation and storage, then also the employment is created, more of employment is generated. Now, the next thing, loans at reasonable rate of interest. Now, this is very, very important, students. Usually, in the rural areas, you can find farmers, they depend upon the money lenders for these petty agricultural expenses what they incur. Okay, what they do, usually the money lenders are people who are very known to the people of the village. So, and it is easy for them, easy for the farmers to get money from the money lender. There is no big process over there, no application need to be signed, filled up, give it to the managers and then wait for our time, then the loan is sanctioned. All this big process is not present with the money lenders because of the relations they have. Usually the money lenders belong to the same village, so because of the relations they have, they just write down a promissory note, sign that, and they take the money from the money lender. But usually this money which is being taken from the money lender is of higher interest rate only. No money lender on earth is going to provide us a loan with a low interest rate. So farmer is taking money as loan at a higher interest rate. Then again it will become a problem for him at the time of repayment. And these loans, when they are added, one loan after another loan, one loan after another loan, the farmer keeps on taking because it is easy to get money from the money lender and the repayment becomes hard. Then the farmer gets into a debt trap. There comes a situation when the farmer is unable to pay back the loan, and at many times there comes situations where he has to leave his land to the money lender because he was unable to pay the loan back to the money lender. So in order to avoid such situations, the banks or the government organizations, they can provide loan to the farmers at reasonable interest rate. Okay. So what will this will enable the farmer to invest more in his production, invest more with respect to the land, and this will generate employment also. And the last one, promote industries in rural areas. So there are many rural areas where industries can be promoted. If an industry is set up in rural area, for example, let us suppose that here we have East Godavari, we have a lot of coconut plantations over here. So if suppose very big coir industry is set up in East Godavari, now what will happen? They will get the raw material very easily, and at the same time lot of employment will also be created because of a coir industry. In that way, looking at the prospects which are available in those areas, industries can be set up accordingly by the government in order to generate employment. So these are the ways through which employment can be generated in the country. Now see here. In your textbook, in India, about 60% of the population belongs to the age group of 5-29 years. Out of this, only about 51% are attending educational institutions. The rest are at home, or many of them may be working as child laborers. If these children are to attend schools, we need more number of buildings, more number of teachers and staff. So the establishment of schools also creates employment. And when we take health, in order to provide health facilities, we need doctors, we need to employ nurses, we need to employ the ward boys, whatnot. Many number of staff are required when a hospital is being established. So many people will be employed in such way. So these are some of the ways through which the employment opportunities in a country can be generated, students. Understood till here, na? Well, students, we have seen what all steps the government can take in order to increase the employment opportunities in the country, in order to generate employment. Now, let us see what actually the government has done. What are the schemes that were implemented by the government in order to bring up or raise the employment in the country. Now, one such scheme which was implemented was the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. This is called as MG Narega. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. And this was implemented in the year 2005. See here, ma. Here are some of the features of the act. Students, this is very, very, very important. A 5 marks question. If you write 5 valid points, for sure you are going to grab the 5 marks. Okay, this is a very direct question. What are the objectives of MG Narega, or what are the features of MG Narega? A very direct question. Okay, now what is the scheme about? See, the scheme was implemented to guarantee right to work. Okay, now this was passed in September 2005 when Dr. Shri Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister of our country. Okay, now, and this was implemented in 625 districts in the country. So initially the scheme was implemented in 625 districts in the country. Okay, now what are the objectives of this scheme? We'll see here. See, enhancing the livelihood security in rural areas by providing at least 100 days of guaranteed wage employment in a year. So this is one objective. Now let us see it. I'll explain it. Enhancing the livelihood security in rural areas. Rural areas. So this scheme was implemented and mostly concentrated in the rural areas in order to improve the living conditions of the people in the rural areas, especially by providing at least 100 days of employment. So here this is very, very important, ma. This scheme aims at providing 100 days of employment to the people in the rural areas, especially, okay, of 100 days of guaranteed wage employment. So 100 days of employment for sure should be provided through this scheme in the rural areas in a year, in a financial year. Okay, ma? So this is the first objective. Usually this the implementation work of this scheme is being handed over to the Gram Panchayats only. So here the village headmen or the Sarpanch, whoever it might be, they undertake the work of implementation of this scheme. And students, here also, first people need to enroll themselves in this scheme. Okay, it is not that directly the scheme is implemented and whoever is there in the village, they are picked up and they are given work. It is not like that. It has got a process wherein first the jobless people in the rural areas, they have to enroll themselves in with respect to MG Narega. So when the employment is provided, then they are being called for to work. So okay, this is the first objective. The second objective of this scheme is to create durable assets like roads, canals, ponds, wells, etc. Ma, the first objective is to provide 100 days of employment to the people living in the rural areas. Now the second objective, what types of works are being undertaken in this scheme? Works which turn out to be durable assets. Okay, so this is also important, not mentioned in your textbook, ma, but this is important. Okay, so here creation of durable assets like roads, canals, ponds, wells, ma, roads, canals, ponds, wells, the dam work, all these are the assets to the economy. Okay, so this scheme, it focuses much on the construction of such works, on the implementation of such works which turn out to be assets to the economy. So these are the two objectives with respect to MG Narega. And here you have a clause also. See here, if the government fails to provide employment, it will give unemployment allowance. Okay, so as I said, people will be enrolling themselves in MG Narega scheme. So if the government is unable to provide this 100 days of employment, then unemployment allowance is also given to the people, who have enrolled themselves with respect to this scheme. Okay, ma? So this is all about MG Narega. Students, very, very, very important. You'll try to understand it, you'll mug it, I don't know, but this is important. Okay, so all these you please try to understand. Now tomorrow's class, in the next class, we'll see about the organized and the unorganized sectors.